A jury awards India Kager's family $800,000 in damages.
This after the jury found two of the officers the family sued responsible for her death. Kager was shot and killed in 2015 by 4 Virginia Beach police officers who were trying to take her child's father into custody. Tonight we're hearing from lawyers on both sides about the jury's decision. 13
News Now reporter Chanu Her has our top story.
Yeah, David and Regina, the deputy city attorney representing the 4 officers think the jury's decision was a compromise verdict, but Kager's family's attorney thinks the jury's decision proved a point that her life mattered and the police execution on the night she was shot was very poor. However, Police Chief Jim Cervera doesn't agree. After hours of deliberating, a jury comes to a verdict against 2 of the 4 officers India Kager's family sued in a wrongful death lawsuit, awarding that family $800,000.
You know, she mattered. She mattered to this world, and I think the family feels some measure of relief and vindication.
Kager was shot and killed by Virginia Beach police in 2015, along with her child's father, Angelo Perry, who officers believed was on his way to commit murder that night. Police claim he shot at them when they tried to apprehend him. The family's attorney, Kevin Martingale, says the execution by police was poor that night.
We feel like the planning was poor from fairly early on. Then when they began to execute on the vehicular assault, things went bad from the moment they bumped into the back of that vehicle.
Police Chief Jim Cervera disagrees.
I've been a cop for 42 years. There are a lot of different tactics involved in different situations, but at that moment in time, those officers did the right thing at the right moment, and I stand by them 100%.
Deputy City Attorney Christopher Boynton says it appears the verdict was a compromise verdict.
And we don't think the evidence supported the finding.
At that moment, when the officers commit, they're committing to what they believe is the right thing, and it is driven by the reaction of the other person, and everybody forgets that.
Boynton says there is still an opportunity to appeal the decision, but Martingale says he hopes the city and police walk away from this having learned.
We hope that they have learned something from it and they'll improve going forward, because this cannot ever happen again.
Now, Boynton did say they offered a settlement a day before the trial started. That settlement was $750,000, which the family denied. Chanu Her, 13 News Now.
New at 11, Virginia Beach police are asking for your help finding the owner of 2 dogs who attacked another dog over the weekend. It happened at the oceanfront near 54th Street. Police tell us a woman called them concerned because several dogs attacked her pet. Those dogs and their owner reportedly left the scene. Police describe the dog's owner as a tall male in his mid-30s with dark hair. The 2 dogs are pit bull types and are brindle and brown. If you know the owner, call the crime line.
New information tonight out of Pasquotank County. The 2 people accused of killing a well-known businessman have been indicted by a grand jury. Dustin Melcher and Angel Sawyer, the victim's wife, are charged with first-degree murder. Police arrested the 2 last week. They are accused of killing Melton Sawyer Jr. earlier this month. Police say his wife, Angel, initially told them her husband died in a home invasion and that she was hurt during this purported attack. Authorities haven't said anything about the suspect's motives, but they tell us the victim knew Melcher.
Right now, police in Suffolk are looking into the circumstances surrounding a woman's death. Her body was found inside a bus this morning at the Pilot Travel Center on Holland Road. Police are staying very tight-lipped. They haven't said who the woman is, how she died, why she was on that bus, or if anyone was with her. The gas station is popular with truck drivers who told us that this is a strange situation.
I wonder, like, what kind of people come through, you know, and there's no telling, you know, because with trucks, you go all over the place in different countries and stuff like that.
Now, police tell us the bus the woman was on wasn't a city bus or a school bus. A spokesperson for the Pilot says they're working with authorities as the investigation continues. Right now, this man on your screen right there is behind bars after police say he tried to abduct a woman in Suffolk last night. Police charged Jacob Freiberger with abduction and kidnapping. They say they got a call just before 10 o'clock about a man who they identified as Freiberger trying to pull the woman into his car. It happened on Lakeside Drive. The woman did get away.
Tonight, questionable signatures that appeared on petitions in the 2nd congressional district race are resulting in more lawsuits. Attorney Gary Byler is set to file a series of suits by Wednesday against at least 2 people who signed the affidavits on those petitions. They swore they witnessed the signing of the petitions and that those signatures were not forged. Some of the signatures in question were collected by staffers for the Republican incumbent, Congressman Scott Taylor. He released a statement to 13 News Now tonight regarding the lawsuits, calling Byler a longtime political opponent and saying this is simply a continuation of that. Taylor beat Byler in a hotly contested Republican primary for the House of Delegates 5 years ago. The story is continually developing. Stay with 13 News Now for any new information we learn on air and online.
New at 11, Portsmouth city leaders are taking new steps toward becoming a smart city. They're moving forward on building a community broadband network. 13 News Now reporter Megan Puryear went to a city council meeting tonight to learn more about it. Megan?
David, the city of Portsmouth is working toward being a smart city, and they say that this all starts with the internet.
It's been a while since most of us heard this noise. But the city of Portsmouth says the current internet situation needs a reboot.
This is just as important as what power or electricity was at the turn of the century.
The city of Portsmouth wants to take reins of the internet themselves. At tonight's city council meeting, they previewed a new network, and City Chief Information Officer Daniel Jones says it's vital.
We're talking about living in a digital age and functioning in a digital age. Being able to transmit data and have that connectivity anywhere is a key success driver in anything that we do.
Jones says it's just a matter of time until Portsmouth is a smart city.
Now the project is slated for 5 years, about $9 million.
But what's that $9 million going toward?
A municipal fiber network is a connectivity infrastructure that is underground that would connect municipal facilities for data transmission.
That means faster and stronger internet that can move larger amounts of data at once. Right now, the city gets their internet through Cox Communications, but with this transition, Jones says they'll save.
In the long run, this will save the city upwards of about $500,000 a year.
This means not only will hospitals, schools, and libraries benefit, but the public will too.
With this same infrastructure, we'll be extending the Portsmouth Connect Wi-Fi to parks, downtown areas.
And Jones says the goal is to bring in big business.
Businesses choose to locate to a region. It's not so much the location now that they consider as the connectivity.
Now, City Council will show 6 potential network proposals that the public is welcome to come review at 7 o'clock tomorrow night at City Council in Portsmouth. In the studio, I'm Megan Puryear, 13 News Now.
Despite opposition from some parents, some students in Virginia Beach will be in portable classrooms next week when they start the new year. The 44 portables are behind Hermitage Elementary School, but students from Thorogood Elementary will be there as well. The school board insisted there was no other option, so volunteers spent this past weekend sprucing them up. They painted them and even planted flowers to make them look like real classrooms. Thorogood students will be in these classrooms for 2 years while their school gets a complete makeover.
Looking ahead, several activist groups are holding a pipeline town hall meeting this week. It's meant to inform people in Berkeley and South Norfolk about the Atlantic Coast Pipeline and the South Side Connector Pipeline. They'll address residents' concerns Wednesday night at 6 o'clock. The meeting is expected to last 2 hours. It's at the First Baptist Church on Berkeley Avenue in Norfolk.
This week, we expect to learn more about evictions in Hampton Roads. The Campaign to Reduce Evictions is hosting an event on Thursday. Since the campaign formed back in May, it's looked at explanations and solutions to Virginia's eviction crisis. We told you about the problem back in April when a report by Eviction Lab listed 6 Virginia cities, including 5 in Hampton Roads, as having some of the highest eviction rates in the country. The campaign plans to provide an update on its work at the meeting at the Gethsemane Community Fellowship Church in Norfolk.